We have a CMC pro tip. Today we're going to install the vertical lift litter bridle. We start by taking the strap along the side of the basket, going down to the post closest to the hip. We come back and we're going to trace it, making sure it isn't tangled, and we're going to trace this through the buckle. On this particular harness, we do not back trace the buckle due to the thickness of the webbing. The placement we're looking for is the vertical harness needs to be just slightly above, the spreader bar needs to be just slightly above the top of the litter. We're going to move to this side and we're going to do the exact same thing. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to install our main line. We're going to bring the main line up through the hole of the knot protector. And we're going to tie a figure 8 on a bite. We want to make sure the knot is dressed out, and we want to make sure that we have an adequate length of tail here. In this case, we want to make sure it's at least 6 inches or so, or basically the length of our palm and our finger, so we're good. You'll notice that this figure 8 that I tied is very compact, and that's so the entire knot will fit on top of the knot protector. When I tighten up the tri-link, I make sure that there are no exposed threads when we're done. We go and we center this, and we're all set now. I can just tuck that under so it doesn't get caught on anything. We're now going to tie a belay line. The belay goes over the top of the vertical lift harness, and this is going to have an unusually long tail because we're going to use the tail to tie the victim in as a safety. The way that we measure so that we have the proper length is after it's on, we want to be able to reach the foot of the basket. So when I put that there, that reaches the foot, so we're good. I take the rope, tie an overhand loop, that comes over the top, pulls up through. I now take the tail, put the tail through, and roll it over. Normally we would tie a safety on a bowline on a coil. However, since we're going to use the tail to attach the victim, all I'm going to do is tie another figure 8 on a bite here, making sure we have enough tail. It's very important that we have this tail long enough. So this is going to come down, and we're going to connect in temporarily into this harness just so it's out of the way. Again, we make sure we're at least 6 inches of tail there or the length of our palm. We're now going to take a carabiner, we're going to put it around the main rail. We want to make sure that the gate is down and that the opening is farthest away. When we use this later, we're going to simply pull the webbing up through here, and we're going to be locking that in, so we want to make sure it's in position for that. You'll notice that we went around the top rail. We did not go around through the straight hole here because that would put the carabiner sideways and would cross-load it. We're going to do the same thing on the other side in the same spot. Now we're going to proceed to the foot. We're going to go around the top rail on this one. It's in between two vertical rails, but we're actually tying around the top. We want to be just beyond the bottom of the basket here, and we're going to do the same. Make sure we have enough tail. Tie your overhand loop, bring it over the top, bring this through. When it flips, it's going to go ahead and we're going to tie our safety knot here. We make sure that it's nice and tight, and it's going to be snug to the bowline. The other thing we're going to do is once we package the patient in, we're going to bring these loops together. We're going to lay them over the top of the patient's legs and in between their feet, so when the basket goes over the edge, it'll deploy nicely and will stabilize the basket. Continuing on, we have our patient package as you've seen in previous videos. We've connected our tag line in. We have our main and belay ready to go, and we have our tag that is going down to our person on the ground. So now we're going to go ahead and start to lower. So lower on both. Okay. Stop on main. Going to connect in our straps here or our carabiners into the straps that we rigged earlier. Make sure you lock the carabiners. Okay, carabiners all locked, down on both. Out on tag. Five feet, 4, 3, down on both, 2, 1, we're on the ground. That completes the evolution.